making it to Formula One as a very young person, right? Like you were on this road of success here. I mean, I remember the story like, holy crap, this guy's like, boom, right in Formula One. Here we go. But tough, difficult era, I would say, in Formula One as well. Very difficult era. And the Toro Rosso team, probably not the most successful that they could have been. You know, difficult times. What was that like to be thrust in that environment so early? Because I know that I was trying to get to the same place. You know, we were all trying to be Formula One drivers, you know, back in the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, for those of you who are not very familiar with the Formula One system, you know, I was involved with this junior program in this energetic drink brand, which is Red Bull. And they're very famous for, you know, being very strict on how they manage drivers and what they are asking for. So basically, I was basically called when I was 15 years old after my season in go-karts in Europe, and I was signed up to this junior team. I started to do Formula Renault 1.6, then I did Formula Renault 2.0, and the goal was very clear, was just to win. Anything that was not winning was not good for them, and it was very, you know, like crystal clear. So all the goals were winning or being in the top 3, at least for the first year. So, you know, I was like, you know, when you're that age, you don't even think about Formula One because everything, it looks like very kind of far away. You are thinking like managing things like step by step. And of course, yeah, you know, like putting the pressure on you, but understanding that there is like potential in here to do something big. And of course, you're being very fortunate because, you know, our sport is a very expensive and unique and exclusive sport. It's not like tennis or golf or football. So you understand that these people are putting a lot of money behind you, and they're putting a lot, you know, you have this responsibility of delivering results and so on. And all of a sudden, you know, it just worked out. I mean, I was doing the job. I won British Formula 3. And I think, you know, Conor, one of those things in life is not just being talented or being special. It's especially being at the right spot at the right place. So I think this makes the whole difference. You know, like Sebastian Vettel was at the right time, at the right place, upgrading to Formula One when Toro Rosso had a good car to be in Q3 consistently, and so on. You know, Max Verstappen upgraded to Formula One when, you know, Toro Rosso didn't have a very bad car, and then Red Bull Racing was amazing. So it's all about the momentum and the time being. And at that time in 2009, they decided to upgrade me to Formula One and give me that seat that I replaced Sebastian Bourdais, who actually they were not very happy with him, with his performance at that time, and they replaced him and they put me in. And it was, you know, for me, it was very harsh because I didn't know the car, I didn't know the racetracks, I couldn't even test. They threw me in the middle of the season. So it was a very tough, very tough season to start with, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's so hard because first of all, Sebastian Bourdais, that's hilarious because I've obviously now raced with Sebastian Bourdais for many years. My first IndyCar podium, he won the race. So
okay.
But yeah. Not a big fan of his. He blocks a lot on the track, no big deal, a lot of but anyway, so difficult to be thrust into a new car because especially as a young person, right, we're just thinking, yep, whatever it is, doesn't matter, we got to get in and drive. But that car, I obviously only did very, very little Formula One testing, but there's so much to learn. There's so much to know. There's so many things. And again, you're exactly right. That Red Bull environment, as an onlooker, right? Like I always dreamed of being sponsored by Red Bull. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But having known a lot of drivers who were in that system now, it's not really like the best system for drivers who need to learn or like who have time to learn, right? Like I think if you don't do it immediately, like you said, you're out. And that's a lot of pressure. So when you got in and you started, you know, seeing however things were going on, the car might not have been the greatest at the time, but I guess, did it seem like they were going to give you the time at first? Like, did it seem like, all right, I'm going to get a little bit of time to understand what's going on here because you were so young?
Well, you never know in Red Bull. The funny thing is that I've been racing all my life with Checo Perez. I've been beating him every time. And the funny thing is, all my respects for Checo, of course, he's a great driver. But the funny thing is that he would have not last, with all the ruling and all the strategy that Red Bull Junior team and managed by Helmut Marko, with all the ruling and the strategy they had, Checo would have not last a minute in that system, because it would have sacked him out in the first year straight away. Formula 3, like, you don't win, out. And I'm very sure if in 2008 I would have not won the championship, and they were going to throw me out, and that's crystal clear. And the funny thing is, now Checo is driving for Red Bull Racing, and is being quite successful. So it's unbelievable. You know what I mean? So they spent so much money on drivers. They spent so much money on, this junior team. And we made it maybe 5, 6 of us, but it's so difficult to predict what they're going to do, what they're going to decide, how they're going to react. So I was never sure. And honestly, I received a call from Dietrich Mateschitz, the founder of Red Bull, which he was not really into it, because he has technical people who are taking decisions for him, like Christian Horner or Helmut Marko. But this phone call kind of calmed me down a little bit, because of course I was thrown into the lions without, feeding me anything. So it was very difficult for me to outperform my teammate. Of course, I was like always behind him the first half of the season. And then the whole story changed in 2010, of course. I was trained, I had the knowledge of the tires of a Formula One ecosystem, which is very different to, very different to any junior formula. So I at first thought that I had the weapons to defend me in that ecosystem. And I started to make my first points, even though the car, of course, was lacking performance. But, it's always the same story. But yeah, I outpaced my teammate at the end of the year, out-qualifying him at the end of the year, the last 6 or 7 races. So scoring points consistently, which was good. And then we were looking better for the following year, So there was some progress in there.
Now, looking back after everything you just said, I mean, would you do it all over again that way? I mean, or what would you want to change?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, everything turned out to be, I didn't like the way I finished my Formula One career, of course, not at all. I was not expecting that decision on December 18th, the way they did it. They made sure that me and Buemi had no way to negotiate with other racing teams. So, I had the opportunity to go with Lotus because I had this contract coming in, but I had to sign it the same weekend in Abu Dhabi. I said no because, of course, we were doing a great job. In 2011, we were doing, especially the last 7 races of the season, we were putting the car in the points. We were beating Schumacher, Mercedes, Force India at that time. We were beating Sauber. We were beating Renault, like teams that had much more budget than us. So all in all, we were doing a great job as a team with less budget, And I was not expecting that decision and the reasons why they did it, saying that, we are replacing the drivers because we know that they're very good drivers, but they're not winners. Like, what is the criteria behind that? Can you please tell me, after 6 years working with me and Buemi, especially Buemi, he has won, I don't know how many world titles in in endurance cars and Formula E, other racing series. So it's stupid. So they replaced us, they put other drivers in, they don't beat our score, and then they upgrade them to Red Bull Racing. So what's the deal here? So in which sporting criteria are you judging your drivers, and you're saying that they're not winners? If we kind of show that we have done a better job than them. So honestly, I have my thoughts about Formula One and how it works. I feel I'm a very fortunate man. I am very grateful for the life I have been living there. It was a great adventure. But of course, I was very ashamed and frustrated of how it all ended up. I don't think it was the way to do things, to be honest. The thing here is that, Conor, when I started in a junior program when I was 15, these guys, they designed me to be like a machine. Like when you're in Red Bull, they design you to be like a bad human being. You know what I mean? Like they design you to be arrogant.
No happiness, no enjoyment.
No. Everything is bad. Like even when you win, you cannot be happy. Honestly, like
so bad.
They didn't even congratulate you when you were actually scoring points or
It's incredible. Yeah,
nothing
incredible.
is good. Nothing is enough. So keep on pushing, like push, and you felt like that anxiety, but you were living with that anxiety. You know, you were, and this is the success of Max Verstappen because he lived in a family where this was his everyday life. With his dad pushing him every single day. Testing, go-karts, and even the win was not enough. So that was like the feeling I always had inside Red Bull. So they were designing machines to be perfect, to develop drivers into Formula One and win world championships.